Welcome to Truth Report, where we cut through the noise to bring you the stories that truly matter, exposing the hidden levers of power and the raw realities shaping our world. Tonight, we plunge into a complex tapestry of global events, from the heart of humanitarian crises to the cutting edge of scientific discovery.
We'll unravel how seemingly disparate headlines, a notorious camp emptying in Syria, incendiary rhetoric from a football mogul, and a defiant call for a World Cup boycott, are intrinsically linked by the pervasive threads of immigration, power, and human dignity. We'll challenge prevailing narratives and demand accountability.
And as we dissect these crucial immigration stories, we'll also confront a striking contrast: the dizzying pace of technological advancement, with innovations like microscopic robot fish and self-powered sensors, against the stubborn stagnation, and often regression, in how humanity addresses its most pressing moral challenges.
Our investigation today will reveal not just the facts, but the profound ethical questions that emerge when a society prioritizes technological marvels while failing to uphold fundamental human rights. Who benefits from this imbalance, and who is left behind in its wake?
This is Truth Report. We're here to ask the uncomfortable questions, to connect the dots, and to bring you the unvarnished truth. Join us as we shine a light on the forces at play. Our first story takes us to northeast Syria, to a place synonymous with the devastating human cost of conflict and ideological extremism, Al-Hol camp. Breaking news from Middle East suggests a significant development, one that, on the surface, might sound like progress.
Indeed, Alex. Middle East Eye, citing sources, reports that the notorious Al-Hol camp has been emptied of its foreign nationals. This isn't just a logistical update, it marks a potential turning point for thousands of individuals who have been trapped in a humanitarian and political limbo for years.
Emptied of foreigners, a phrase that sounds definitive, yet raises immediate questions. According to Middle East Eye's reporting, this means non-Syrian and non-Iraqi nationals have been repatriated or transferred. But what does emptied truly signify for those who called this desperate place home, many against their will?
For years, Al-Hol was a sprawling, overcrowded detention facility, a symbol of the international community's failure to address the aftermath of the ISIS caliphate's collapse. It housed tens of thousands, primarily women and children, including families of suspected ISIS fighters, many of whom were radicalized or victimized within its fences.
The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, who controlled the camp, repeatedly called for international assistance, struggling with security and humanitarian challenges. The pressure on countries to repatriate their citizens, especially the children, has been immense, driven by fears of radicalization and severe human rights concerns.
But the process has been painfully slow and piecemeal. Many Western nations, in particular, were reluctant to take back their citizens, citing security risks and political unpopularity. The implication of emptied suggests a significant acceleration, perhaps due to renewed international pressure or a shift in policy from the holding forces.
We must ask, who are these foreigners now, and what awaits them? Repatriation to their home countries often means facing complex legal systems, de-radicalization programs, and societal ostracism, especially for the women and older children. For the youngest, it offers a chance at a childhood away from the shadow of extremism.
And what about those who remain? Middle East Eye's report specifically states foreigners, implying Syrian and Iraqi nationals still constitute a large population within the camp. Their plight, often overlooked, continues. They are equally victims of conflict, and their future remains precarious.
On the surface, the repatriation of foreign nationals from Al-Hol might appear as a humanitarian success, a step towards resolving a long-standing crisis. It allows countries to finally take responsibility for their citizens and, for some, offers a chance at rehabilitation away from the camp's dire conditions.
However, the beneficiaries are often the repatriating governments, who can claim to be addressing a security threat or a humanitarian obligation, often after years of inaction. The real losers are the countless individuals, particularly children, whose formative years were stolen by neglect, living in conditions that bred despair and extremism.
This situation tragically highlights the broader geopolitical failures in Syria, where international actors have consistently struggled to formulate a cohesive strategy for peace and post-conflict recovery. The burden of this failure often falls disproportionately on vulnerable populations, including refugees and the internally displaced.
The international community's piecemeal approach to Al-Hol speaks volumes about a global system that too often reacts to crises rather than preventing them, and then shies away from long-term responsibility. The legacy of ISIS continues to haunt, and without comprehensive solutions, these cycles of displacement and despair will persist. From the humanitarian crisis in Syria, we pivot to the boardroom of global sports, where wealth and influence intersect with deeply divisive political rhetoric. Al Jazeera reports significant outrage brewing in the UK against Sir Jim Ratcliffe, co-owner of Manchester United.
That's right, Maya. Fan fury is growing, with supporters accusing the billionaire tycoon of echoing far-right narratives with his anti-immigrant rhetoric. This isn't just about football, it's about a powerful figure using his platform to inject dangerous narratives into mainstream discourse, narratives that, as Al Jazeera highlights, have real-world impact.
While specific quotes aren't provided in the summary, the accusation of far-right narratives suggests a familiar playbook, portraying immigrants as a burden, a threat to national identity, or a drain on resources. This kind of language is not benign. It fuels prejudice and can legitimize discriminatory policies.
Ratcliffe, as co-owner of one of the world's most iconic sports clubs, wields immense influence. His words don't just echo in political circles, they reverberate through communities, among fan bases that are inherently diverse and global. To hear such sentiments from someone at the helm of Manchester United is deeply troubling for many.
The real-world impact Al Jazeera mentions is crucial. Anti-immigrant rhetoric often correlates with increased xenophobia, hate crimes, and stricter, often inhumane, immigration policies. It creates an environment where vulnerable populations are further marginalized and scapegoated for broader societal issues.
We've seen this pattern before, Maya. Wealthy individuals, often with significant business interests, leveraging their public profile to push a political agenda that frequently demonizes immigrant communities. It's a calculated move that can consolidate support among a certain demographic while alienating others.
Who stands to gain from this? Clearly, Ratcliffe himself, if these comments align with his political ambitions or appeal to a specific conservative base. Such statements can distract from corporate scrutiny or financial dealings, redirecting public attention to a wedge issue.
But the losers are evident: immigrant communities who face increased hostility, and Manchester United itself, whose brand identity, built on global appeal and diverse talent, risks being severely tarnished. Players, staff, and fans from immigrant backgrounds are directly undermined by such remarks.
This incident underscores how corporate power structures are increasingly intertwined with political narratives. When a titan of industry and sport uses his platform for divisive rhetoric, it normalizes prejudice and lends perceived legitimacy to harmful viewpoints, eroding social cohesion.
It's a stark reminder that influence carries responsibility. The media, including outlets like Al Jazeera, plays a vital role in challenging these narratives, exposing their potential for harm, and holding powerful figures accountable for the real-world consequences of their words. Silence in the face of such rhetoric is complicity. From corporate rhetoric to a bold call for collective action, our next story highlights a powerful intersection of sport, politics, and morality. An opinion piece published by Al Jazeera makes a provocative assertion: Africa must boycott the 2026 World Cup.
This isn't merely a suggestion, Alex. It's framed as a historic sporting and moral choice for the continent regarding the US-hosted tournament. Such a boycott would be monumental, signaling a profound grievance that transcends the game itself.
The article summary doesn't detail the specific reasons behind this call, but given the show's focus on immigration and Al Jazeera's consistent coverage of human rights, one can infer the motivations. It's highly probable this stance stems from deeply felt injustices related to US foreign and immigration policies.
We've seen how US immigration policies have disproportionately affected African citizens, from restrictive visa regimes to detention conditions and deportation practices. A boycott could be a unified protest against systemic inequities, demanding respect and dignity for African nations and their people on the global stage.
The power of a sporting boycott, while controversial, can be immense. Think of the anti-apartheid boycotts that ultimately contributed to the downfall of a racist regime. While the context is different, the principle remains: using collective economic and symbolic leverage to challenge perceived injustice.
For Africa, a continent rich in footballing talent and passion, such a boycott would be a significant sacrifice, especially for the players and fans. However, the opinion piece argues that the moral imperative outweighs the sporting ambition, suggesting that principles must sometimes take precedence over participation.
Who benefits from such a bold stance? Potentially, African nations collectively, if it forces a reconsideration of US policies or highlights issues that have long been ignored. It's a powerful assertion of sovereignty and moral agency, demanding that the voices of the global South be heard and respected.
The losers would undoubtedly include FIFA, facing a massive blow to its flagship tournament, both financially and in terms of legitimacy. The US, as host, would suffer a significant reputational hit, especially if the boycott draws global attention to criticisms of its human rights or immigration record.
This call for a boycott is a direct challenge to the established power structures of global sport and geopolitics. It reflects a growing impatience and resolve among nations of the global South to assert their influence and demand equitable treatment, rather than passively accepting the terms set by dominant powers.
It's a potent reminder that soft power, cultural influence, and economic leverage are not solely the domain of established Western nations. When marginalized voices unite, they possess the capacity to disrupt the status quo and compel a re-evaluation of global priorities and moral obligations. Now, let's shift gears dramatically. From the contentious arenas of geopolitics and human rights, we turn to the incredible frontiers of scientific innovation. Nature reports on a development that sounds almost like science fiction: tiny robot fish designed to swim through the human body.
This is truly astounding, Maya. Published in Nature, the research details soft robotic devices that could be used to deliver drugs directly to internal tissues. These aren't just microscopic, they're powered by ultrasound, allowing for precise navigation within the intricate pathways of the human circulatory system.
Imagine the implications: highly targeted drug delivery, minimizing side effects and maximizing efficacy by precisely placing medication where it's needed most. This represents a monumental leap in medical treatment, moving beyond systemic drug administration that impacts the entire body.
The concept of soft robotics is key here. Unlike rigid instruments, these tiny, flexible devices can navigate complex biological environments without causing trauma. Powered by ultrasound, it suggests a non-invasive way to control and direct these therapeutic fish from outside the body.
This kind of breakthrough signifies the relentless pace of innovation in biomedical engineering. It showcases humanity's capacity for ingenuity, tackling complex biological challenges with elegant, technologically advanced solutions. It promises a future where medicine is far more personalized and precise.
Who stands to benefit from such a groundbreaking technology? Foremost, patients suffering from diseases requiring localized treatment, perhaps certain cancers, or conditions affecting specific organs. Medical researchers and the pharmaceutical industry also stand to gain enormously from its development.
On the flip side, the potential losses or challenges often lie in access. Such cutting-edge technology will undoubtedly be expensive initially. The question becomes, who can afford these advanced treatments, and will they exacerbate existing healthcare inequalities between nations and socioeconomic groups?
This kind of research is backed by massive investment, often from both government grants and private pharmaceutical or biotech companies. It highlights the immense resources dedicated to extending and improving human life through advanced technology, driven by powerful scientific and corporate interests.
The ethical framework around advanced medical robotics also becomes critical. As we push the boundaries of what's possible within the human body, we must ensure these innovations are deployed responsibly, transparently, and equitably, avoiding a future where health access becomes a privilege, not a right.
Continuing our journey into scientific marvels, Nature also reports on another fascinating development: a self-powered vibration sensor for wearable healthcare and voice detection. This innovation promises to bring sophisticated monitoring capabilities directly to our skin.
That's right, Alex. Published just yesterday, this research describes densely packed arrays of electrical components, specifically capacitors, forming a high-fidelity vibration sensor. What makes it truly remarkable is that it's self-powered, meaning it harvests energy from its environment, eliminating the need for external batteries.
The implications for wearable technology are immense. Imagine continuous, accurate health monitoring without the constant need for recharging. This could revolutionize remote patient care, allowing doctors to track vital signs, movement patterns, and even vocal cues indicative of health changes, all in real time.
Beyond healthcare, the mention of voice detection opens up possibilities for enhanced security systems, personal assistance, or even new forms of communication interfaces. Its self-powered nature means it could be seamlessly integrated into clothing or accessories, making it almost imperceptible.
This technology could empower individuals, especially the elderly or those with chronic conditions, to live more independently, knowing they are constantly monitored for any anomalies. It offers a new layer of personal safety and proactive health management.
However, as with all powerful technologies, there's a dual-edged sword. While beneficial for healthcare, a self-powered, high-fidelity vibration sensor with voice detection capabilities also raises significant questions about data privacy and surveillance. Who has access to this data, and how is it protected?
The beneficiaries are clear: patients, medical professionals, and the booming wearable tech industry. But the potential losers could be individual privacy and autonomy, especially if this technology is deployed without robust ethical guidelines and strong regulatory oversight.
The power structures at play here are the tech giants and data companies poised to capitalize on these new streams of personal information. The race for innovation must be balanced against the imperative to protect fundamental rights and prevent the misuse of such powerful monitoring tools.
This invention underscores the accelerating march of technological progress, offering both incredible promise and daunting challenges. As we integrate these sensors into our lives, we must actively shape their deployment to ensure they serve humanity rather than compromise our freedoms.
We've covered a wide spectrum tonight, from the desperate human struggle in Al-Hol to the dazzling promise of micro-robotics and wearable tech. At the core of Truth Report, however, remains our focus on immigration and the fundamental question of human dignity.
And the pattern, Maya, is stark and undeniable. On one hand, we witness the continued geopolitical failures leading to the tragedy of Al-Hol, where thousands were left in limbo. Then, the insidious spread of anti-immigrant rhetoric from powerful figures like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, legitimizing prejudice with real-world consequences.
And the defiant call for an African World Cup boycott, a desperate plea for justice and recognition against systemic inequities. These are not isolated incidents, they are symptoms of a global system that too often devalues certain human lives, particularly those displaced or seeking better lives.
Yet, simultaneously, we see humanity's incredible capacity for innovation. Tiny robot fish promising targeted drug delivery, self-powered sensors for advanced healthcare monitoring. These are marvels of engineering and scientific dedication, pushing the boundaries of what's medically possible.
The profound disconnect is this: we pour vast resources, brilliant minds, and unwavering focus into solving incredibly complex scientific problems for individual health and comfort, yet we demonstrate a persistent, often politically motivated, inability to address basic human rights, dignity, and humanitarian crises on a global scale.
This isn't just about resource allocation, it's about a fundamental imbalance in global priorities driven by powerful structures. The same nations and corporations that fund cutting-edge science often benefit from or perpetuate the very conditions that lead to mass displacement and humanitarian crises, while simultaneously vilifying those seeking refuge. We're witnessing technological leaps while moral progress stagnates or retreats.
The truth is, we are capable of extraordinary things. We can build robot fish to heal the body, and sensors to monitor our well-being. But our collective will to address the suffering of millions, to dismantle prejudiced narratives, and to treat every human with dignity, often falls short.
It is a critical failure of leadership and a profound indictment of a system that prioritizes profit and political expediency over basic human compassion. We must demand accountability from those in power, whether in government, business, or global institutions, for the real-world impact of their decisions and their rhetoric.
We urge you, our viewers, to look beyond the headlines. Investigate the sources, question the motives, and challenge the narratives that seek to divide us. Your engagement is the bedrock of a truly informed and just society.
For Truth Report, I'm Alex Truth.
And I'm Maya Clarity. Thank you for joining us.